The alarm screamed through the corridors of the mining station Aurora 7. Red lights flashed in angry pulses as Captain Sarah Chen raced down the metal hallway, her boots clanging against the floor plates. "What do you mean it just appeared?" she shouted into her communicator. "I mean exactly that, Captain," came the panicked voice of Lieutenant Rodriguez from the command center. "One second our sensors showed empty space. The next second there's a ship out there, a big one, and it's completely black." Sarah burst through the command center doors. The main view screen dominated the far wall, showing the star field beyond their small mining station. But there, blocking out a section of stars, was a shadow, a ship-shaped void against the cosmos. "How big?" Sarah asked, catching her breath. 2 kilometers long, Captain. Maybe more." Rodriguez's hands shook as he worked the sensor controls. "But here's the weird part. Our scanners can barely detect it. It's like it's absorbing everything we throw at it." Chief Engineer Marcus Webb looked up from his console, his weathered face grim. "It's not responding to any communication frequencies, no identification signals, nothing." Sarah stared at the screen. In her 20 years of deep space work, she'd never seen anything like it. The ship was sleek, angular, and utterly black. It seemed to eat the light around it. "Any other ships in the area?" she asked. "Negative, Captain. We're alone out here, just us and that thing." Suddenly, the lights in the command center flickered. Then the gravity generators hummed strangely, making everyone's stomach lurch. "What was that?" Sarah grabbed the nearest console for support. "Unknown energy reading," Rodriguez reported, his voice climbing higher. "It's coming from the black ship, some kind of scanning beam." The lights flickered again. This time, they stayed dim. "Captain," Webb said slowly, "whatever they're doing to us, it's affecting our power grid. If this continues, we'll lose life support within the hour." Sarah felt ice in her veins. Aurora 7 was home to 300 miners and their families. If they lost power this far from any shipping lanes, they would all die slowly in the cold darkness of space. She looked at the black ship on the screen. Was this first contact with an alien species? Or something worse? "Get me a channel to Earth Command," she ordered. "Emergency frequency." "I'm trying, Captain, but something's jamming our long-range communications," Rodriguez said. "We're completely cut off." As if responding to her thoughts, the black ship moved. It rotated slowly, gracefully, until what looked like a weapon array pointed directly at Aurora 7. "Red alert," Sarah commanded. "All hands to emergency stations." But even as the alarm klaxons wailed, she knew their mining station had no weapons, no shields, no way to fight. They were completely helpless against whatever was inside that nightmare ship. And then, impossibly, a voice spoke directly into her. "Hanskau, humans of the mining station. We are the Devourers. Your species has been evaluated. You are found interesting." Chapter 2. The voice in the dark Sarah staggered backward, her hand flying to her head. Around the command center, every person was doing the same thing. The voice hadn't come through their communication systems. It had spoken directly into their thoughts. "Did everyone else hear that?" she whispered. Nods around the room confirmed her worst fear. Whatever was on that black ship, it had the technology to communicate telepathically. "Do not be afraid," the voice continued, cold and emotionless. "Fear is wasteful. We require information about your species." "Captain," Webb said through gritted teeth, "the power drain is getting worse. We're down to 60%. Sarah straightened her shoulders. If this was first contact, she would represent humanity with dignity. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of Aurora 7. Who are you? What do you want?" The response came immediately, flooding her mind with alien thoughts. "We are explorers of consciousness. We travel between stars, seeking species with the potential for growth. Your kind shows promise." "What kind of growth?" Sarah asked aloud, hoping her crew could follow the conversation. Images flashed in her mind, cities burning, humans running in terror, other humans standing tall fighting back with weapons that seemed to bend space itself, humans in strange armor, their eyes glowing with unnatural light. Evolution through conflict, through necessity, through survival. Rodriguez looked up from his console, his face pale. Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildup in their weapon systems. We will test your species, the voice continued. Some of you will transcend. Others will perish. This is the way of advancement. Test us how? Sarah demanded. The lights went out completely. Emergency power kicked in a moment later, bathing everything in a sickly red glow. Through the view screen, the black ship began to glow with an eerie purple light. We will release the plague worlds upon your solar system, 12 planets that carry the seeds of change. Your species will either adapt and evolve, or it will join the countless others who have failed our trials. You're talking about genocide, Sarah shouted. We are talking about potential. The weak die, the strong become something greater. This is natural law. Webb grabbed Sarah's arm. Captain, if we don't restore main power in the next 10 minutes, we'll start losing atmosphere recycling. Sarah's mind raced. 300 innocent people were going to die unless she did something. But what could a mining station do against a ship the size of a small moon? Then she remembered something. Aurora 7 wasn't just any mining station. They were mining quantium crystals. The same crystals that powered faster-than-light engines. The same crystals that, if overloaded, could create an explosion powerful enough to crack a planet. Webb, she said quietly. How much quantium do we have in storage? The engineer's eyes widened as he understood her implication. About 40 tons, Captain. But if we overload that much quantium, it would create an explosion visible from Earth, Sarah finished. How long would it take to rig the storage bay for overload? Maybe 20 minutes. But Captain, we'd all die. The explosion would vaporize the station. Your thoughts are loud, human Sarah Chen, the alien voice interrupted. Sacrifice is an admirable trait, but your death would not harm us. Our shields can withstand the explosion of a small star. Sarah felt her hope crumble. If their most desperate plan wouldn't even scratch the alien ship, what could they do? But then Rodriguez spoke up, his voice shaking but determined. Captain, remember what they said. They're explorers of consciousness. What if the quantium explosion isn't meant to hurt them? What if it's meant to send a message? Sarah looked at him. What kind of message? A message to Earth, to the colonies. A message that carries information about these devourers. If we can encode our sensor data into the quantum matrix before it explodes, the energy wave will carry that information across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. Clever, the alien voice noted with what sounded almost like approval. You would sacrifice yourselves to warn your species. This confirms our evaluation. Humans do have potential. So you'll spare us? Sarah asked hopefully. No. Your sacrifice will be the first test. Whether your species learns from your warning will determine if they are worthy of evolution. The purple glow from the black ship intensified. Through the view screen, Sarah could see smaller craft launching from the alien vessel. Dozens of them, each one sleek and deadly. They're launching an invasion force, Rodriguez reported, heading straight for us. Sarah made her decision. Webb, start the quantium overload sequence. Rodriguez, begin encoding all our sensor data. Everyone else, get to the escape pods. Captain, Webb said softly, the overload will take 20 minutes. Those fighters will be here in 5. Sarah smiled grimly. Then we hold them off for 20 minutes. She looked around at her crew. These were miners, not soldiers. But they were human, and humans had always been stubborn when cornered. Anyone who wants to leave should go now, she announced. No shame in surviving to fight another day. Not a single person moved toward the exits. Fascinating, the alien voice murmured in their heads. Perhaps your species truly is worthy of our attention. Outside, the first alien fighters reached Aurora 7. Beams of energy lanced out, striking the station's hull. The entire structure shuddered. 15 minutes to quantum overload, Webb announced. Sarah activated the internal communications. All hands, this is the captain. We are under attack by a hostile alien force. Our mission is to hold them off long enough to send a warning to Earth. Every second we buy might save billions of lives. She paused, looking at the determined faces around her. Today we show the universe what humans are made of. Chapter 3, The Last Stand. The mining station Aurora 7 shook under alien fire. Sparks flew from damaged consoles as Sarah and her crew raced to complete their desperate mission. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7, Rodriguez reported, his voice steady despite the chaos. Emergency force fields are holding, but barely. Sarah watched the tactical display. The alien fighters moved like schools of predatory fish, circling the station and striking from different angles. Each pass brought them closer to critical systems. 10 minutes to quantum overload, Webb announced from the engineering station. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he worked to keep the overload sequence stable, while the station bucked and rolled under enemy fire. Your resistance is admirable but futile, the alien voice spoke in their minds. Surrender now, and some of your crew may be preserved for study. Counteroffer, Sarah said through gritted teeth. Go back where you came from and we won't tell the entire galaxy that you're afraid of a mining station. She felt alien amusement ripple through her thoughts. Defiance in the face of certain death. Your species continues to impress us. The lights went out again. This time the emergency power took longer to kick in. They're targeting our power grid specifically, Rodriguez observed. They want to stop the quantum overload. Can they do it? Sarah asked Webb. Not if I can help it, the engineer replied. I've isolated the overload sequence from the main power grid. Even if they knock out everything else, the quantum will still blow. Another massive impact rocked the station. Through the view screen, Sarah could see one of the alien fighters had attached itself to their hull like a mechanical parasite. Energy beams were cutting through the outer armor. They're boarding us, she announced. Security teams to Section 12. But Sarah knew their security teams were just miners with basic training. They wouldn't last long against whatever was on those ships. We are coming, Captain Sarah Chen. We wish to meet the one who leads this resistance. 8 minutes to overload, Webb called out. Sarah made a decision that surprised even herself. Instead of running to the armory or trying to hide, she headed for the airlock where the alien ship had attached itself. Captain, where are you going? Rodriguez called after her. To buy us 8 more minutes, she replied. The corridors were chaos. Emergency lights flickered as damaged systems sparked and failed. But Sarah moved with purpose through the maze of metal passages she'd called home for 5 years. She reached Section 12 just as the outer airlock began to glow cherry red from cutting beams. Whatever was on the other side would be through, in moments. Sarah grabbed a plasma cutter from the maintenance kit and waited. The airlock door fell inward with a crash. Through the opening came something that made Sarah's breath catch. It looked almost human. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head where a head should be. But it was wrong in subtle ways. Too tall, too thin, with skin that seemed to absorb light. Its eyes were pools of darkness, and when it moved, it flowed like liquid shadow. Captain Sarah Chen. It spoke without moving its mouth. We meet at last. You're one of the devourers, Sarah said, raising the plasma cutter. I am what your species might become given proper guidance. I was once human long ago, from a world not unlike yours. That stopped Sarah cold. You were human? 5,000 years ago, my people faced the same test. Most perished, but some of us transcended our limitations. We became something greater. The Yai creature stepped closer, and Sarah could see that its shadow moved independently, reaching toward her like grasping fingers. What did you become? She whispered. We became explorers of consciousness, shepherds of evolution. We guide younger species through the trials that will either destroy them or transform them into something magnificent. 5 minutes to overload. Webb's voice echoed through the station's speakers. The creature tilted its head. Your defiance has earned my respect, Sarah Chen. Join us willingly and I will preserve your crew. Refuse and they die with you. Sarah looked at the plasma cutter in her hands. It seemed pathetically small against this ancient being that had once been human. What would I become? She asked. Free, immortal, capable of traveling between stars with nothing but your will. You would help us find other species worthy of elevation. And the ones that aren't worthy? They return to the cosmic dust from which they came. This is natural law. Sarah thought of her crew, working desperately to complete their mission. She thought of Earth, of the billions of humans who didn't even know this threat existed. "I have a counteroffer," she said. The creature's dark eyes focused on her with interest. "Take me, leave my crew alive, and give humanity time to prepare for your test." "Interesting. You would sacrifice yourself for your species." "Yes. But I have already promised to test your species with the plague worlds. That cannot be changed." "Then at least give us a fighting chance. Don't send them immediately. Give us 10 years. The creature was silent for a long moment. Around them, the station groaned under continued alien fire. "Your offer has merit. But what do we gain from this delay?" Sarah smiled grimly. "The chance to see what humans can really do when we're properly motivated." 3 minutes to overload," Webb's voice announced. The creature stepped back. "You intrigue us, Sarah Chen. Very well. I accept your bargain. 10 years for your species to prepare. In exchange, you will come with us and learn our ways." "Wait," Sarah said. "Let me say goodbye to my crew." "There is no time. The quantum explosion will happen whether you stop it or not. The message will be sent, but you will not die with your station." The creature extended one impossibly long hand toward her. "Choose now, Sarah Chen. Die with your crew or live to help your species survive what is coming." Sarah looked back down the corridor toward the command center, where her friends were completing their desperate mission. "Tell them," she began. "They will know. The message you send will carry more than technical data. It will carry the story of your sacrifice." Sarah took the creature's hand. The world around her dissolved into shadow and starlight. The last thing she heard was Webb's voice. "Quantum overload in 10 seconds. All hands, brace for..." The explosion lit up space for 1,000 light-years in every direction. The message, encoded in exotic quantum particles, raced toward Earth at speeds that defied physics. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, Sarah Chen began her transformation into something more than human. Chapter 4. The Message Admiral James Morrison stood in the command center of Earth Defense Station 1, staring at the data streaming across his screens. 3 days had passed since the quantum burst from the outer rim, and his best scientists were still trying to decode what they'd received. "Admiral," Dr. Elena Vasquez called from her console, "I think we've cracked the encoding matrix." Morrison moved to stand behind the chief scientist. Dr. Vasquez had been working around the clock since the mysterious signal reached Earth. Her usually pristine appearance was disheveled, her eyes red from staring at computer screens. "What did you find?" Morrison asked. "It's not just a distress signal, Admiral. It's a complete tactical report encoded in quantum matrices that shouldn't be possible with our current technology." She paused, her fingers hovering over the controls. "And there's something else, a personal message." Morrison nodded. "Show me everything." The main view screen flickered to life. Captain Sarah Chen's face appeared, but this wasn't a normal recording. It was a quantum echo, her thoughts and memories preserved in the exotic particles that had traveled across the galaxy. "If you're receiving this," Sarah's voice began, "then our sacrifice succeeded. My name is Captain Sarah Chen of Aurora 7. 3 days ago, we made first contact with a hostile alien species that calls itself the Devourers." Morrison felt cold dread settle in his stomach as Sarah's message continued. She described the black ship, the telepathic communication, and the aliens' terrifying plan to test humanity. "They're sending 12 plague worlds to our solar system," Sarah explained. "Planets that carry some kind of evolutionary catalyst. According to their leader, we have 10 years to prepare before they arrive." Dr. Vasquez looked up at Morrison. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the technical data that came with the message. These plague worlds, they're not just weapons. They're test laboratories the size of planets." "What kind of tests?" "According to the data, each world will present a different challenge: biological warfare, technological adaptation, psychological manipulation, environmental extremes. They're designed to push a species to its absolute limits." Morrison studied the tactical readouts. And if we pass these tests, we get to join their galactic community as an evolved species, Dr. Vasquez said grimly. If we fail, extinction, Morrison finished. Sarah's message continued. I want you to know that my crew and I died willingly to bring you this warning, but we're not the only ones who made sacrifices. I made a bargain with the Devourer leader. I went with them in exchange for the 10-year delay. Morrison's hands clenched into fists. The idea of any human being subjected to alien experimentation made his blood boil. The quantum signature indicates Captain Chen is still alive, Dr. Vasquez added quietly. Somewhere out there she's being changed. Admiral Morrison to the bridge, came a voice over the intercom. Priority Alpha communication from Mars. Command. Morrison activated his communicator. This is Morrison. Sir, we're reading massive gravitational anomalies at the edge of the solar system. Something big is coming through hyperspace. Morrison and Dr. Vasquez exchanged looks. How big? He asked. 12 objects, each roughly the size of Earth's moon. They're decelerating rapidly and appear to be taking up positions throughout the outer system. The plague worlds, Dr. Vasquez whispered. They're already here. Morrison felt the weight of humanity's future settling on his shoulders. 10 years had become 10 minutes. Sound general alert, he commanded. Contact all colony worlds, all deep space stations, all military commands. Tell them we are now at war with an alien species that wants to test whether humanity deserves to survive. As alarms began wailing throughout the station, Morrison looked back at Sarah Chen's quantum echo on the screen. You gave us the warning, Captain, he said softly. Now let's see if we can make it count. But even as he spoke, reports were flooding in from across the solar system. The 12 plague worlds were already beginning their tests. On Mars, strange, spores were falling from the sky. Near Jupiter, an artificial intelligence was taking control of mining robots. In the asteroid belt, gravity itself was behaving strangely. The trial of humanity had begun. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, Sarah Chen felt the first stirrings of her transformation. The Devourers were changing her, preparing her for a role she didn't yet understand. But deep in her altered consciousness, she held on to one human truth. Her species would not go quietly into extinction. The real war was just beginning. Epilogue. Between stars, Sarah Chen floated in a chamber of living shadow aboard the black ship that had destroyed her home. Her body was changing, becoming something that could survive in the vacuum of space, something that could bend reality with focused thought. But her mind remained defiantly human. You are progressing well, the ancient devourer told her. Soon, you will be ready to observe your species' trials firsthand. Why are you really doing this? Sarah asked. Her voice now carried harmonics that hadn't been there before, sounds that could resonate across dimensions. Because we are lonely, the creature admitted. In 5 million years of existence, we have found only 17 species worthy of transcendence. Most fail the trials. Most choose death over evolution. Through the ship's hull, which had become transparent to her altered senses, Sarah could see the 12 plague worlds settling into their positions around Earth's solar system. Each one was a masterpiece of alien engineering, designed to push humanity to its breaking point. What happens if we pass your tests? She asked. Then you join us as equals. Humanity becomes the 18th species to achieve true consciousness. Your people will help us guide the next candidates toward enlightenment. And if we fail? Then we mourn another lost opportunity and continue our search among the stars. Sarah felt anger burning in her transformed heart. You talk about this like it's noble, but you're playing God with entire civilizations. We are not playing God, Sarah Chen. We are serving a purpose greater than any single species. The universe is vast and cold and empty. Intelligence is precious. Consciousness is sacred. We preserve what can be preserved and release what cannot evolve. Through her enhanced perception, Sarah could feel the fear radiating from Earth as her people discovered what they were facing. She could sense Admiral Morrison organizing humanity's defenses, She could feel billions of minds grappling with the reality that they were not alone in the universe, and she could feel something else. Something the Devourers hadn't expected. Humans were not just afraid. They were angry. And when humans got angry, they got creative. Already, Sarah could sense her species beginning to adapt in ways the aliens hadn't predicted. Instead of fragmenting under pressure, humanity was uniting. Instead of despairing, they were innovating. "Your species surprises us," the Devourer observed. "Most civilizations collapse within days of learning about the trials, but your people are stubborn." Sarah smiled, and shadows danced around her in response to her emotions. "You have no idea how stubborn we can be." Through the quantum link that connected her to her home system, she began to send subtle influences. Not enough to violate her, bargain with the Devourers, but enough to help her species remember who they were. She whispered across the void to every human mind that would listen. "We are the children of a blue world. We are the species that turned deserts into gardens and reached for the stars with nothing but our will. They want to test us? Let them. We've been testing ourselves since we learned to use fire. Show them what humans can do." The first phase of the trials was about to begin. 12 worlds of horror and challenge waited to see if humanity would break or bend. But Sarah Chen, floating between human and something greater, knew one thing the Devourers had not yet learned. Humans didn't just survive tests, they aced them, and then they demanded extra credit. The real story was just beginning.